Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Newton Public Schools Alumni Association podcast. I'm Jasper, and today we are joined by Noah. So, Noah, would you mind giving us a quick introduction of when you graduated, maybe something interesting you did in high school, as well as what you're doing right now?
Hmm. I graduated in September of 2024, so nearly a year ago. I went to BU. I studied math and computer science. What I did in high school, I don't know. I loved playing soccer. I was on the soccer team. What I'm doing now is I'm looking to either apply for econ grad schools or go back and do a pre-bac program so I could go back and do med school. And this is while I am working on the weekends and as a personal trainer during the week. So a lot of studying for tests and such.
I see. Okay, so you're thinking of going into pre med in university, is that right?
Kind of. I mean, pre-med would be something you would do during graduation. I mean, during your college years. And I've already graduated, so I'm thinking about going back, doing the pre-med requirements, and then going into med school.
I see. Interesting. Okay, so since you're doing medicine essentially and hoping to continue to do
Well,
so in your
we
career,
I haven't decided yet. We'll
I
see.
see. Okay, so I guess you've taken a lot of courses in Newton South. So, what do you think about some of these courses and how they maybe contributed to how you maybe initially wanted to pursue pre med, or maybe how now you're looking into other options as well?
And honestly, I wouldn't say Newton South had a big part of it. In fact, like I really wish Newton South, you do a lot of courses, but at least like I grew up with a single parent. My dad wasn't able to be really very involved with my education or my career life. And so I went into like college totally undecided. I had never really thought about what jobs I might like, what
I
I
see.
would want to do. The advice you're always given is just kind of, pick a major and go with it.
Oh,
And I liked math, so I went with that. And then I was told computer science is helpful, so I went with it. And I wouldn't really recommend that because like doing math in school and doing math as a job are two entirely different things unless you want to be an academic. Like, I really like sitting there with a textbook and my notebook and going through problems and kind of, getting a deeper understanding of how these things work and the visualization behind them. But then, a lot of the jobs that stem from my major, most of my classmates are just software engineers, which is not something I want to do. So I wish like in high school there had been more programs to go out and try medicine and try being a physical therapist and try this and try that, and that was really encouraged.
I
So
see. So
that's
you kind
something I
of
think New South could do better.
interesting. So you kind of hope that Newton South could maybe add more programs related to career training, like giving students life experiences and actually trying out different types of careers.
Not yeah, trying out. Like my girlfriend is from Singapore and she goes to a British school, and at her school they take a week off. I don't know if it's their junior year or their senior year. They take a week off and they have them go and try out all these different vocations and professions that they think they might want to like. And you know maybe life's not a linear path. I'm not saying like just because you want to do something in high school you're going to end up doing that, but I do think it's good to at least have some type of direction that's not just this is what I want to study. If you want to go into
I see.
medicine, you have to study organic chemistry and biology, but that's not what you'll be doing as a job. So they're not always
The same
so
thing, right?
linearly correlated.
I see. So I know the problem of not knowing what you want to do when you grow up is something that a lot of high schoolers face, and probably a lot of kids in Newton South also do today. So like, let's say maybe you could have a small chat with you in ninth grade. What kind of advice do you think you would have given him for how you may have gone through high school differently, or what type of general advice we give to Newton South high schoolers now who maybe don't have a fixed career path and kind of are just waddling around in life?
Um, I mean, that's hard. I mean, I think like there is just a natural process of self-discovery that in some ways can't be rushed. Um, but I what advice would I give myself? Just kind of, be open to new things, trying things out. Um, I think a big part of the what I see a lot of people do is just go down whatever route that their parents went down, or especially if they have like an older brother, if they're a guy, or an older sister, they just go down the same route because that's, what they know the most
Hmm.
about. That's how they feel, what they feel comfortable in. And I mean, I think for partly that was the reason I studied math, which is not a terrible thing, but I don't think
Hmm.
it's my calling really, if such a thing exists. So like I guess explore things and find really what you're passionate about doing. Like, you know, do you love meeting new people? Do you love solving puzzles? It's not something that's going to come from your family or your sister or your brother. Like, everyone's got their own things that bring joy and that's going to make your life meaningful.
I see. So you kind of talk about just kind of meeting that one subject that maybe clicks with you and having a life direction, I guess, a
No,
bit
I
more
mean, don't
clear.
get me wrong. Like, I think it might even be more about finding out what it is you don't like to do than what it is you do like to do. I don't think that there's one thing for
Hmm.
any one person. And I don't think you're lucky if you find something and you're totally settled on it forever. I think most people, can see three or four paths they could have seen themselves going down and being happy in. I think, but there's also, 10 paths that they knew they couldn't be happy in. So, you know, find the aspects that you like. There's plenty of jobs where you can meet and talk to a lot of people, and there's plenty of jobs where you can feel like you're helping people out every single day. And if that's what you need with a job, there's probably A, B, C you could all do. But then you got to know that, there's some paths that aren't for you. And I wish I had explored that and kind of explored what I needed in a job and what I don't like in a job before I got to college. Maybe that's wishful thinking because I never would have known beforehand. But
Right. I see.
ideally, I would have known coming in.
So I guess college kind of, crystallized, a bit of, what you don't want to do as well as, what you maybe want to do in the future. So I guess you've done a lot of things in college and a lot of people are also worried about, what college life is going to throw at them. So what do you think is like, one thing that you've done in college that maybe had the largest impact on this direction, maybe in terms of making it more clear or maybe securing the fact that, I don't really want to do this type of job.
Just trying things out. Just trying things out and like I remember I heard this quote, I don't know from who, but it's not about jobs, but it's about things in your home, but it's like, does this thing spark joy? And if it doesn't spark joy, you don't need it. And you know, if you take a class and you really don't enjoy it, like it's not like you're eventually going to get over that hump and start to like it unless you're not liking the difficulty of it. I think I tried to convince myself for a while that I really liked computer science because there were aspects of it I liked, but like I didn't like the day-to-day being on my computer all day, and I thought I would get used to it, I would learn to ignore it, and that never really happened. So I guess just if you're really not liking something, listen to yourself. And another thing is like I actually like Newton South. I failed out of my ninth grade year. I did terribly.
Oh
I
wow.
almost got held back, like got like I think it was N's in all my classes. It was in the lowest level for everything, English, math, all that. And I eventually was able to climb back and I had a quite a good like upwards progression, so I got into
Okay.
BU. But I came into BU still not thinking I was very smart or very capable. And part of the reason I did math and did computer science is I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna see like how far I can take this. Like, I'm gonna put myself in this really hard major and just see if I'll succeed. And, maybe computer science isn't what's right for me, but at least by doing that, putting myself in one of the hardest majors I could find, the thing that challenged me the most, and being like, wow, I graduated and I got good grades. Like, you learn a lot about yourself and what you're capable of. So, don't be afraid to push yourself and see where you might land because, you know, at worst, you kind of discover your limits, and at best, and most likely, you discover you're capable of a lot more than what you thought.
Oh wow, I see. So it's kind of like essentially, basically just trying to be engaged, trying out new stuff, and kind of seeing what you really like, something that you really are passionate for. Is that right?
Yeah, and don't be like none of these. If you fail a class, it's not a dead end. None of these things are dead ends. So, if something interests you and you think it's too hard for you, like the people in that who go down that path are too smart, just give it a shot. You know, probably
I
it's not
see.
true. Maybe it is, but at least you tried.
I see. So I guess to summarize everything you've told us today, what do you think is maybe one value or one mindset that people should carry with them going into college and also just going into life that you think would probably have succeeded in bringing them far in life just as it had helped you?
I mean, yeah, that's an interesting question to ask me because I mean, to say I'm like far in life,
Well, you have gone through the entire college process, so I guess compared to us high
yes,
schoolers,
I
do have
suppose
more
that
life
seems far.
experiences.
But to me, like, that seems like I still feel like I'm 17 sometimes.
Wow.
I don't know. I think the biggest thing is in high school, you kind of everything, it feels like, there's a very set thing. You go to high school, you go to college, you get a career, you keep going. I don't think life is so linear, and I don't think people need to buy into a linear path like that. So just kind of, try things out, discover what you want. Like, I think it's important to know that, things are not going to be a straight shot in your life. And probably where you think you'll end up is not where you will end up, but honestly, that's a good thing. Like, if we knew everything that was going to come to us, this whole thing, life would be
Kind
kind of
of
boring.
pointless, I guess. Yeah. I see. That sounds great. Well, thank you very much for joining me today, Noah. I hope that everyone listening learned a lot from Noah about, how to find your direction in life and, maybe how to get started in doing so. So, thank you very much for joining in on today's podcast, and I will see everyone next time.